Hello, welcome to Guiri Tips. I'm Max Milano, travel writer and expat living in Spain. And these Guiri Tips are for any other English-speaking expats out there who are making Spain their home. Basically, we went through all the rough the rough times to get settled in Spain. So we developed these Guiri tips so that you don't have to go through what we went through. So every week, right here at GuiriGuru.com and on YouTube and Facebook, we're going to be giving out Guiri tips of the week. And I'm wearing a very appropriate flamingo shirt because we're coming at you from beautiful Valencia, Spain. And believe it or not, there are flamingos very close to the city of Valencia. Go to GuiriGuru.com and check out the blog that talks about the very place where paella comes from. That's where the flamingos hang out. So the flamingos have good taste in Spanish food. So our first Guiri tip of the week is about car rental. Okay, so you're an expat. We moved here from California, and we knew we definitely wanted a car because you just get more out of Spain. The roads are beautiful here. They're really well maintained, and road tripping in Spain is incredible. It's amazing. Check out GuiriGuru. I have a blog about road tripping from Zaragoza to Teruel, and it's one of our favorite things to do in Spain is to go on a road trip. And then obviously you need a car to find an apartment when you first moved here, or to go to the doctor or whatever. Yes, Spain does have public transportation, but if you decided not to live in a main city like Madrid or Valencia Center or Barcelona, if you decide to move it to a smaller town, then public transport could be spotty, and just to go to the supermarket you might need a car. So basically we decided we needed a car, and here the way we went at it. So when we first moved to Spain, we knew we needed a car. We've been coming to Spain for over 10 years, and we always worked with Auto Europe for like a 2-week rental, 10 days, 10 days, things like that. And they're really, really good if you're on holiday. So if you're a tourist, if you want to come to Spain on a holiday, not just Spain but anywhere in Europe, then definitely recommend Auto Europe. Their deductible is about $1,000. So if you are concerned about scratching your car in these very tight European parking lots, then by all means talk to Auto Europe, see if they can lower that deductible to maybe to $500 or less. Of course, it will bring your premiums up, but it might be worth it because we've got our car scratched in tight parking lots here, and once in France we had to pay $700, and in Spain once we had to pay $300 because some of the parking lots here are just insanely tight, and for some reason SUVs are popular here. So big SUVs, small tight parking spots, they just don't go together. So Auto Europe if you're renting, but if you need a car for like 90 days, so this is what we decided to do. We realized we're going to give ourselves 90 days. When we first moved to Spain from California, we decided that we wanted a car for longer than what Auto Europe could help us out. So we were lucky enough to find this company called OK Mobility. They're based down in the Balearic Islands in Mallorca, but they have a pretty strong presence in Madrid Airport and in Valencia Airport and all over Spain. So we called them. They hooked us up with a car for 3 months, and it was a really, really, really reasonable fare. And they're kind of quite disruptive. Like, they included everything. They included the collision damage waiver, all the legal insurance, and unlimited miles. It was actually no. That's where they get you. They don't have unlimited miles, but we figured we're not going to be gallivanting all over Spain doing touristy stuff in the first 90 days when we first moved here. So we agreed on an amount of miles. We actually added a little extra miles later, but by the time we get back the car, we still have extra miles available. We knew we wanted to be very focused when we first got here. So basically, we were driving to see apartments and to the supermarket and things like that, or appointments and lawyers and things. So we definitely, this is not something you want to do for 3 months and using up all your miles to go like on road trips, because then you have to keep adding miles. So for 90 days, including insurance and including X amount of miles, it was a really, really good, reasonable rate. So we thought we prepaid from the U.S. They took our credit card over the phone, and we landed at Madrid Airport. There's a shuttle that picks you up outside Madrid Airport. They also have presence in Valencia Airport and Barcelona Airport and probably all the other major airports. Just go to okmobility.com, and then we were given our car. Now, one thing to bear in mind, we've been coming to Spain for about 10 years and renting for 2 weeks, and no one ever told us that American driver's license drivers actually require an international driver's permit in Spain. I believe Canadians as well. Only EU, people from the EU don't need one. So turns out we've been doing the wrong thing for like 10 years for driving around Spain on holiday without an international driver's license. Now, the lady at the counter at K-Mobility, she was nice enough. She said, okay, you don't have it, fine, just be aware that if the cops do stop you, they might require it. So what we did is we got back to the hotel, and we were able to contact there's a few, if you go online, there's a bunch of, mostly based in the UK, companies that will give you like an electronic international driver's permit. So we got that as a placeholder, but then she told us, really, for the cops to be happy, you want to order it from your home country. So what we did is, once we got to the hotel, we then contacted AAA, our local AAA office, and basically they have a form online. You fill out, you print it, you mail it to them with 2 photos, and you send them a check. And they, about 2 weeks later, they actually mailed us here. They mailed us our international driver's permit, which is great, and they're valid for a year, I believe. And we haven't been stopped by the cops, thank God, but apparently you need that if you're driving around with an American driver's license. Stay tuned for Guiri tips, because we'll tell you how to get local mail in Spain the easiest way. We set up something with the post office so they can receive our mail. So we'll talk about that in our next Guiri tip. So we used K-Mobility to do all our errands, and we eventually bought a flat. Stay tuned for more Guiri tips about buying flats in Spain. And then we were ready to give back the car and buy a new car. So that then you come into the area of, okay, how do you buy a car in Spain as a foreigner? The main issue is, one, if you just move to Spain, you will not get a loan, obviously, from a bank to buy a car. So you'll have to buy the car cash. Second, most cars in Spain are stick, especially most cheaper cars in Spain are stick. Like if you go to a dealership, most of the new cars are quite reasonable, but they'll stick. And if you say, okay, well, I want that same car automatic, then they'll can literally double the price. So bear that in mind. So we did go to, first, we're Volkswagen fans. In California, we always drove Volkswagens. We found them pretty reliable. Overall, for what we do, their SUVs handle really well, and on the road or off the road. So we used to go up to Yosemite with our Volkswagen SUV, and then we used to go to Death Valley and on the freeway. So it's a good all-rounder. So we decided, okay, we'll move to Spain. We'll get the same thing. So we went to Volkswagen, and a new Volkswagen here. They have models here that you don't get in the US, like smaller SUVs, and a brand new SUV here. It's not that bad. It's like $23,000 or $25,000, more or less. But it's stick. And if you wanted the non-stick, you wanted the automatic, 40 grand. So we said, okay, that's not going to work. So we asked around for for like a used car place, and there's this national chain in Spain of used cars called FlexiCar. So we called around, and we knew the model we wanted, and we knew the engine that we wanted, because a lot of Volkswagens here, a lot of cars here in general, people buy the smaller engine, and the way the freeways are here, the way people drive here, you want an engine that can actually, so an engine that has a little bit of get up and go. So we did some research, and actually at the end of our lease with FlexiCar, we found out that you can actually buy cars from them as well, and they have this service where they have a section on not FlexiCar, sorry, OK Mobility. At the end of our OK Mobility lease, or rental, it's really more like a rental, we were interested in buying a car from them, so we actually went. They have a section on their site where they have used cars, and we saw they actually had a couple of cars that we were interested in, but again, they had the engine size were too small. But the service was great. They called us back when we sent the request form, and they were going to send the car to our house, so for us to check it out and before we bought it. So I thought that was great service. But unfortunately, none of their cars had the size engine that we wanted. So we went with FlexiCar, which everybody told us, okay, it's one of the best known Spanish used car companies. Unfortunately, we didn't know that FlexiCar also has a terrible reputation in Spain. So we had we had a little bit of a mixed experience with FlexiCar. I think at the end of the day, the car turned out to be okay, but the service was pretty bad. Like unlike the U.S., like in the U.S., when you go to a used car dealership, most of the time the car has been fixed up and cleaned up and sometimes even certified to be back on the lot. But FlexiCar doesn't do any of that. You would literally see cars with like banged up doors, with the tires are like completely worn out. You think nothing of selling cars like that. Now, where they have this thing, well, oh no, we'll fix it before you pick it up, which is kind of weird. But we say, okay, so we went in, we saw the car that we liked, which was a small Volkswagen SUV. Car was cute, but yeah, one of the doors was banged up pretty bad, and the wheels were flat. They're like completely it was completely worn out. So the guy goes, oh, don't worry, we'll put in new tires, but they were like used tires. So some tires they took off some wreck, and they did fix the door, but it took forever for them to do it. So we actually had to pay them in cash at the FlexiCar office. And the way things work in Spain, they don't really use checks here anymore. Everyone uses bank transfers, like from their cell phones. So if you're interested, obviously one of the first things you need to do as an expat, we move to Spain, is get a bank. And obviously a lot of banks, it's not necessarily easy for an expat to get a bank account here. So stay tuned. One of our coming up, one of our Guiri tips, probably not the next one, but the one after that, we're going to talk about how we open the bank account, tips on how to open bank accounts. So we were able to open a bank account, and basically you just wire the money from like sitting right there in front of the salesman. Like 20 grand, whatever the car costs. And then it's like you walk away with no car, because they have to put new wheels. Well, no, they're not new. They fucking fell off the back of a truck. They're used, and they're gonna fix the door. Now, the reason we were willing to put up with this is because we then went to our local Volkswagen dealership and said, listen, we just bought a used Volkswagen. We want you to do maintenance on it and put new tires, because we, from driving around in California, we knew that you need like all season tires, because they do get snow up here when you drive up to the Pyrenees in the winter. They get snow up there, and it's kind of sunny here, and there's also some off-roading, not a lot, but enough. So we knew we wanted a decent all season tire, so that's what we got. And but then FlexiCar was just taking forever to fix the car. I was on the phone calling them all the time. At one point I told the guy, listen, I don't care, just give me the car the way it is. So it was a lot of back and forth until we finally got our car. took a couple weeks or longer. It was a bit stressful. So if we were to do it again, we wouldn't go with FlexiCar at all. So tip for you, go to the dealership. Okay, hear me out. Most just whatever brand you like, whatever it's Volkswagen or whatever it is, pick the brand, the dealership of the car brand that you like. Now here in Spain, you have many French brands that you don't get, for example, in America. So you can go to Peugeot, you can go to Renault. Renault is making some really nice cars here in Spain right now. They're really nice, and there are even some Chinese brands that MG is a Chinese brand that is actually doing pretty well in Australia and is doing pretty well here. And we actually ended up with an MG SUV with OK Mobility for the first 90 days. And it wasn't too bad. It wasn't quite what we wanted, but you do have options of going to different dealerships. And what happens is usually the dealership that sells you new cars here, next door they'll have their used car lot. And the advantage is that when you go through the dealership, their used car lot, those cars are certified. The dealership makes sure they're pretty new. And also a lot of them are lease returns, so they're like low mileage. So, and also basically the mechanics of that, let's say Volkswagen mechanics, they know how to fix Volkswagen used cars better than anyone else. And the prices are pretty reasonable, comparable to FlexiCar. So we definitely would, that's my tip. Go to the dealership, go to the used car section there. That's probably what we're going to do when we're ready to replace our current car. Just go straight to Volkswagen, see what other used cars they have there, and go with that. Now, if you're an expat here and you just got here and you're still working on your paperwork, you're not going to have a driver's license. Now, that's a whole other kettle of fish. Getting a driver's license in Spain is draconian, to say the least. You have to, I'm going to do Guiri tips on it, so stay tuned for that. It's its own thing. You have to do an exam. You have to do the test on a computer. It's a whole thing. And then you have to do road tests until, basically you're at the mercy of the driving school. You have to pay a driving school. You can't just go straight to the DMV. That's not how it works here. The driving schools control when you're ready to go to the DMV. And also the DMV is not just like open all day, every day for you to go in. Only certain times of the year they're open for exams, the written exam. And it's the whole thing. I'm going to do a separate Guiri tips about that. But you can drive your American driver's license or your Canadian driver's license for the first 6 months legally, no problem. But even though you can drive, as long as you have your international driver's permit, you're fine. However, Spanish insurance companies won't touch you. They won't talk to you because you have to have a Spanish driver's license and a Spanish NIE, which is like a green card. So and obviously that's something you will eventually have, but not right away. So fortunately, Spain, especially this area here in Valencia, there's a lot of colonies of like English people, Dutch, etc. So these little foreign colonies of like beach towns, they're basically beach towns, where pretty much most people are English expats, whatever. So they have their own British kind of companies there that cater to them. So we were able to call this company called Abigate Insurance, and they speak English because obviously they cater to the English. And over the phone, pretty quickly we're able to get a quote for car insurance that covered everything that you legally needed to cover in Spain and everything, and even like extra damages anyway. And the price of insurance in Spain compared to the US is like dramatically less. So we worked with these guys called Abigate for our insurance. Did it all over the phone, and then they just email you the paperwork so that you have it in your car. And then when we picked up the car from FlexiCar, they actually did the registration with the Spanish government. And the nice thing about Spain is that the car is registered once, and that's it. You don't have to go like to the DMV every year to give them the registration. What you do have to do is a safety check if your car is older than 4 years, right? 4 years? You do a safety check. So our car is not quite 4 years old yet, so we didn't have to do that safety check but we're gonna have to do it soon. So check if your car's older than 4 years, then you have to do this safety check, and basically we haven't done it yet. So, but basically you find out where it is and you take your car there and do the safety check. So you don't have to go to the DMV and re-register your car every year. But if your car's older than 4 years, you have to do the safety check. So if you get a newer car, then you don't have to worry about doing the safety check thing for the first 4 years. So for the first 4 years, let's say you buy a new car, you don't have to worry about registration, and then you don't have to worry about doing the safety check. And that's it. One last thing. Cops in Spain, from what I've noticed, compared to California, compared to the US, they're really not in the business of like stopping people in the street for like speeding and stuff. They do have radar, and they do have cameras, and there's a lot of old towns have like cameras and stuff, so basically you can't drive into the old town. Like the whole of downtown Madrid now is off limits to driving. Same thing in Italy, you can't drive into central Rome, you can't drive into anywhere. And if you do drive and you're not a local, like registered with the city, they'll just mail you a ticket. Instead of like stopping you and like shooting you in the street like in America, they'll just send you a ticket, very civilized. So you'll get a ticket in the mail. So, I haven't had any tickets in the mail recently, but I've had that before, that they just send you a ticket and go, you drove into an old town and you shouldn't supposed to. But if you do get a ticket, more so like a parking ticket. Like once we went to this beach town not far from Valencia, and we got a ticket because we didn't notice that there was a parking machine, and we noticed that the machine said and the ticket was high for like a parking ticket. It was high. I don't know. It was like hundreds of euros. It's crazy. But then I saw that the small print on the machine said that if you find the parking enforcement person and you pay the fine today, instead of like hundreds of euros, it's like 8 euros. So we were like, wow, okay, is that an option? So we found this. Now, talking about parking, obviously you're driving around, you're going to need to park your car. My advice is take advantage of the fact that in most Spanish cities, even smaller cities, they have underground parking right in the old town. Most old towns won't let you drive. Sometimes there's no roads. It's just like pedestrianized kind of cobblestone street, so you won't even be able to drive. But the setup is usually there'll be like a square, and there'll be like a parking lot under the square, reasonably priced, and then you're right in the center of things, and then obviously you just walk around from there. So we found this spot underground, and we talked to the lady. Said, "Is it true that we can just pay the $8 instead of 500 if we do it today?" And she's like, "Yeah, go find the guy, but you have like 2 hours or something." So if you get to your car and there's a ticket a parking ticket on the windshield, and it's less than, I don't know if it's 2 hours, something like that, go find the guy or the lady is doing giving out the tickets, of which that's what we did. And the guy said, "Oh no, you can go to the machine, put in your one of the options when you at the parking machine in the street parking is to pay the fine, and you put in your number plate, and you put in and then it was $8, and you pay the credit card at the machine. It was great. So there you go. That's your car driving, car obtaining tips in Spain. If you go to GuiriGuru.com, if you go to the Guiri Tips section, we have a section dedicated to cars, car rentals, car purchasing, car insurance, etc. We constantly keep renewing, putting new information there, and links to companies that we've used ourselves that we think are pretty good. So check it out. GuiriGuru.com, Guiri Tips section, the car section. We also have other sections there about real estate and about doctors, English-speaking doctors, and all that kind of stuff. And constantly, every week, we keep renewing, putting new stuff in there as we, find out new stuff. And stay tuned next week for Guiri Tips of the Week. Same channel, same place, GuiriGuru.com, and on YouTube and on Facebook. So, and don't be shy. If you have any questions, just send them, type them up. We have a question, contact us. Form right on GuiriGuru.com. You can just send your questions there. We'll be glad to answer any questions you have about Spain, about whatever it's about buying a car, renting a car, real estate, or even like cities to go, travel itineraries. We can set you up. And if you want something more personalized, we can definitely set something up. And we have these consulting sessions. You got an hour and a half, and we can do a tailored itinerary for you, or we can do a tailored tell you the steps you need to do for immigration, or for where to find an English-speaking lawyer, or an English-speaking doctor, etc., etc., etc. So check out GuiriGuru.com for anything you need to survive in Spain as an expat, English-speaking expat. Talk to you soon. This is Max Milano saying goodbye. Until next week, see you at GuiriGuru.com. Ciao.